Hello everybody, Jediwarlock here, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Happy Halloween! To celebrate this spooky day, I wanted to take a look at two of my favorite fictional heroes and compare their tragic tales. On the mystical world of Azeroth, Prince Arthas Menethil, an up-and-coming paladin in the Order of the Silver Hand, faces an unprecedented threat to his homeland. In a galaxy far, far away, Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker fights in the Clone Wars, but dark forces threaten to collapse the Republic and the Jedi Order from within. The stories of these two heroes are curiously similar, but also possess some key differences, both of which I'll discuss today as I recount these two epics side by side. As a side note, there will be spoilers for these characters, so if you aren't familiar with their tales, go experience them elsewhere and come back and join us later. So, with all that being said, let's get right into it and explore Warcraft Episode 3, Reign of the Sith. Growing up in the hearts of their respective locales, both Anakin and Arthas were trained in the arts of war and diplomacy. From a young age, Prince Arthas was trained in combat by Muradin Bronzebeard, and was eventually one of the youngest inductees into the Order of the Silver Hand, where he would train as a paladin and learn the magic of the Holy Light. Anakin, similarly, was brought up in the Jedi Temple after being freed from slavery, learning the ways of the Force and lightsaber dueling. Soon after entering adulthood, both men would have the chance to put their skills to use. The start of the Galactic Clone Wars spurred the Jedi Knights into action, leading clone forces against the droid armies of the Separatists, while a mysterious wave of plagued grain began poisoning the citizens of Lordaeron, causing them to not only perish, but rise again as part of the undead scourge. Both heroes would enjoy numerous hard-won successes in battle, but would also rely on their companions to live to fight another day. Accompanying the two heroes on their journeys were their respective mentors and romantic interests, which I think are two aspects of each tale that cause some people, including myself, to draw some initial parallels between the two. Uther the Lightbringer, a senior paladin in the Silver Hand, joins with Arthas on his campaign against the undead, much like how Obi-Wan Kenobi fights with Anakin during the Clone Wars. Jaina Proudmoore, a mage from the Wizard Society of Dalaran, also joins the heroes of Azeroth and rekindles a romance with Arthas, similar to how Senator Padme Amidala is wed to Anakin during the start of the Clone Wars. While the members of these two trios are on good terms at the start of their sagas, their leads' desire for power or justice would eventually lead to their fracturing. As Crown Prince of Lordaeron, Arthas' priority was to save his people from the plague, no matter the cost. He reiterates this line multiple times throughout the Warcraft 3 story, and this goal is what eventually leads to his downfall. Anakin's motives, on the other hand, are slightly more personal. After having multiple Force visions that Padme would die in childbirth, he vows to become strong enough in the Force to keep his loved ones from dying, even if that means forsaking the ways of the Jedi. During their campaigns, both Arthas and Anakin begin taking more and more drastic measures to ensure their victory, sometimes at significant costs. There are several points that I could identify as the tipping points in both of these stories, but today I'll just focus on what I believe to be the most significant. The Arthas storyline probably has the most straightforward of these, the culling of Stratholme. To stop the plague from spreading further, and to stop more undead from rising, Arthas makes the controversial decision to slaughter the entire city of Stratholme, whose citizens have already consumed the plagued grain before they can become servants of the Lich King. This horrifies Jaina and Uther, who turn their backs on Arthas and his loyalists and leave him to commit the purge. While one could argue that Anakin's slaying a tribe of sand people or killing the Separatist leader Count Dooku in cold blood were his tipping points, I think the most definitive event is when Anakin chooses to betray the Jedi Order and help Emperor Palpatine defeat Mace Windu. The Emperor has promised to save Padmé's life, and Anakin decides to prevent the Jedi from vanquishing the Sith once and for all, so the knowledge to save her might be found. At this point, both characters have truly passed the precipice and have begun their downfalls toward becoming villains. Following the culling of Stratholme, Arthas leads his men to the icy lands of Northrend to finish off Mal Ganis, one of the leaders of the Scourge. However, Arthas' obsession with stopping the Scourge leads him to commit terrible acts, including burning his own ships to keep his men from leaving and pushing his men to the breaking point. Upon learning of the mythical runeblade Frostmourne that is hidden nearby, Arthas goes searching for it, thinking it will grant him the power necessary to save his people from the Scourge. Arthas claims the blade, but at a terrible price. Frostmourne corrupts his mind, and the Lich King, secret owner of the blade, gains a new champion. The fallout that ensues consists of Arthas falling further and further under the Lich King's control, razing Lordaeron to the ground, killing his mentor Uther, and returning to Northrend and merging with the Helm of Domination to become the one true Lich King. The end of Warcraft 3, and one of the most tragic endings to a video game in history. Anakin's fate is dark and tragic as well, perfectly fitting for this spooky Halloween. Kneeling before the Twisted Emperor, Anakin pledges to destroy the Jedi Order to eliminate any threats to the new Sith Empire. The Jedi Temple burns, and across the galaxy, the horrifying Order 66 is carried out by the clones of the Republic, who turn on their Jedi generals, leaving only a handful alive among thousands. Padmé and Obi-Wan travel to Mustafar, where they find Anakin having disposed of the remaining Separatist High Council. In a fit of blind rage, Anakin incapacitates Padmé and duels Obi-Wan, who, as we know, severely wounds Anakin, but is unable to help save Padmé as she dies in childbirth after giving birth to twins. Anakin is kept alive by the Emperor, encased in a black suit of armor, and becomes Darth Vader, the tortured remnant of Anakin Skywalker, and one of the most iconic villains in all of cinema. While there is plenty of great storytelling to analyze in both of these tragic sagas, I wanted to finish today by discussing some of the interesting similarities and differences between the two. Arthas, an heir to the throne set up for a bright future, lost his kingdom striving solely to protect it from the undead menace, eventually becoming the instrument of its destruction. Anakin, a passionate Jedi looking for a way to save his love, was the eventual reason for her passing, and helped bring about the rise of an autocrat in the process. The two stories are very similar in the broad strokes of the narrative, but I think the key difference comes in the balance of selfish versus selfless. Anakin, though his intentions were good, were also done to preserve his own desires at the cost of the Republic, the Jedi, and Padmé. Arthas' actions were taken for the good of his people, his society, under the premise of justice, and yet he failed nonetheless. It's an interesting difference, I think, to see just how similar the stories and the aftermaths are, but arise from fairly different character motivations. Tragic stories in their own ways, but stories that are, for some reason, two of my absolute favorites, and perfect for this Halloween night. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this spooky little video here on Halloween 2022. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like the video, comment down below with your thoughts, subscribe if you're new to join the still intact Jedi Order, And until next time, peace.